Good morning, happy Monday, Honors Math 2. I have a video for you guys for lesson 3.10, which is 3.10. And we're going to talk about inequality of triangles and inequality of two triangles. And easy concept, just want to make sure you guys are up aware and know of this. And this may show up a few times later on in the year. So to get out your notes, turn to 310, make sure you're in the first part of 310, okay, where it says inequality of triangles, or triangle inequality. And an inequality means like greater than, less than kind of symbols. Okay, so let's get started. Can you make a triangle with any three lengths? So can I put a triangle together with any three lengths? Good question, right? So let's talk about it. Let's say I have a ruler that's 12 long, and I have a highlighter, and I have a pencil. Is there any way to connect these to make a triangle? Yeah, it's going to be a pretty skinny triangle, but they connect. Okay, they do. Kind of give you an idea. Let's say this is 5 inches, and this is a little bit more than 7 inches if we measure it. Let's say that's 7.5. So we have 5 inches, 7.5, and 12. And it made a triangle, barely. A very, very kind of triangle like that. It worked. Well, what if I change out the pencil or the highlighter, and I put a very small side in, like a paperclip leaf? Is that going to make a triangle? Well, of course not. It's not going to connect. Okay? We say the third side is too long. Okay, so the third side is definitely too long. But remember, when we put something like a pencil and a pen, it did work. Because these two are actually longer than the third side. And that's going to be a big concept. So, let's say I have a side of 12, and I have a side of 5. And let's change the other side to be 8. That would make a triangle. And the main reason is because these two numbers added together is larger than that third side. Those two can't be smaller. So I can't say, oh, let's do 12, let's do a 5, and let's do a 4. There's no way those can connect because 5 and 4 together are 9, and you have to make an angle to make a triangle. So these two have to be greater than the largest side. Okay, so we're going to write that down on your notes. And so it says triangle inequality theorem. It says the sum of two lengths of a triangle is greater than the length of the third side. And then the two sides, try to always use the third side as the largest side. So this was going to be our largest side when we look at it. Okay. So the third side has to be less than the sum of the other two sides. Okay, so again, so if we had 5, 8, and 12, that worked because 5 plus 8 is greater than 12. So the third side has to be less than that. Okay, could it be 6? 6 and 12. Well, let's think about it. If you had 12, and then you had one line that was 6 and another line is 6, how is that going to bend at all to make a triangle? It's never going to work. So this is not greater than 12. It's equal to it. This would not make a triangle. So again, I like to have them in order. My three sides, the two shorter sides, the sum of those two sides, the third side has to be less than that. Okay? If you have the third side too long, they're never going to connect. Okay, another thing. What are the possible sides of the third side? So let's say I tell you one side is 5 and one side is 12. And I say, what could the third side be? Well, when you think about it, if you have 5 and you have 12, if you added those together, that third side has to be less than the sum of those. It can't be 17. 17 would be too big. So maybe 18. Sorry. Sorry. Has to be less than. Maybe 16. Messed up on that. Okay. And then if I put 5 and 12 and try to make a very skinny triangle, this side has to be, these two added, has to be less than 12. So I couldn't do 7 here, but maybe I could do 6. So what you're going to do is you're going to subtract the two sides, add to the two sides, and the third side has to be between there. So let's say we were doing these two. If we subtract them, don't get a negative, that's 7. If we add them, that's 17. Well, again, it can't be 17 because that would be straight up and down. It can't be 7 because that would be them straight up and down. So it has to be greater than 7 but less than 17. And that's called an inequality statement, and that's how you would write it. Okay? It can't be 7, but it could be anything greater. Yes, it could be 8. It could be 9. Could be 7.1. Could be 7.2. Kind of like the one I did with the ruler. It can't be 17. It could be 16.9 and it still work. Make sure these symbols are all facing the same way. They're all opening the same way. And make sure there's no line underneath it, because it can't be 7, can't be 17, but it can be anything between 7 and 17. Okay, so let's put that all into practice. Okay, we're also going to talk about ordering the sides of a triangle. This is a very, very easy concept. The largest side is always across from the largest angle. So let's say this side's 20, let's say this is 15, and let's say this is, has to be, let's say this is, third side has to be less than these two. So let's say that's 6 for now. So it makes a triangle because that's 21 and 20 is less than 21. Okay? If this is true, the angle across from the largest side has to be the largest angle. Think about a hypotenuse of a right triangle. Right triangle, the angle that's 90 degrees is the largest one. The one across from that 90 degrees is called the hypotenuse. It's always the largest. So this angle would be the largest. And then this angle here would be kind of your medium. And then the angle across from the shortest side, because you're making a short thing, would be the smallest. So the largest side is always across from the largest angle, and the smallest side is always across from the smallest angle in any triangle. Okay, make sure you add that to your notes where it says ordering sides and angles. Very easy concept. Okay, so now we're going to do some yes/no questions. So, do the following set of lengths make a triangle? Remember that the two small sides has to be greater than the largest side. So the sum of the two small sides has to be greater than the largest side. If the third side's too big, it can't make a triangle. So is 8 plus 17, is that greater than 24? Well, yeah, 25 is greater than 24. So, 24. So yes, that does make a triangle. It would work. It would make, if you had 8 and 17, you could connect to 24 there, because it's less than 25. Okay, what about the next one? Is 3 plus 3 greater than 7? The answer is no. There's no way that can make a triangle. If you had 3 and 3, there's no way 7 would be able to connect that. 7 is too big. Okay, last one. Again, it's nice when these are in order. If they're not in order, I would put them in order and put the largest one last, but it already is. So is this greater than 24? Well, no. It's not greater than 24. So this was not going to make a triangle. That 24 is too long. So if you had a 24 here and you had an 11 and a 12, there's no way they're going to connect. No way. They're too short. Or this third side's too long. Okay? Now, again, if you're given two sides, you're going to come up with an inequality statement of what the third side can be. And all you have to do is take the two sides and subtract them to make you a small third side, and take the two sides and add them to make a very large side. So this would be 8, and this would be 36. So you know the third side has to be greater than 8, can't be 8. Has to be less than 36, can't be 36, but anything in between there. Do not put 9 and 30, do not put 9 and 35 there, it's marked wrong. Because 8.5 works, 8.1 works, just can't be 8. Okay, same thing on this one. Make sure you're subtracting the larger one minus the smaller one so you don't get a negative. This would be not connecting quite because it's too short. This would be not connecting, it's too long. So anything greater than 3 but less than 59 would work. The last one, when you subtract them, you get 0. That's okay. And you add them, you get 20. So the third side has to be greater than 0. Well, every side has to be greater than 0, so that kind of makes sense, but less than 20. Never put a negative there. So any triangle from 1.5, anything greater than 0, all the way to 20 would make a triangle. Okay, when you're done with that, turn the page. And we're going to list the largest and smallest angles by looking at the picture. So we're going to order these angles from least to greatest. So we're going to start with the smallest angle and go to the biggest angle. So look for the smallest side. Don't look at the drawing, look at the numbers. That is my smallest side. This is my medium side, and this is my largest side. The angle across opposite is going to be the angle that's the smallest if that's the smallest side. So angle A is the smallest. Angle C would be your medium one, and the largest angle would always be across from the largest side. On the homework, it's going to ask you to list the sides and angles. So if I asked you to list the sides too, just to show you guys, the smallest side was 17, which is BC. The medium size was AB, and the largest side is AC. I want you to see that the angle across from side BC has the opposite, or the only letter is not there. The angle across from AB has the other letter, and the angle across from AC has the other letter. Always works that way. Okay, I want you guys to look at this. I want you to discuss in your group, does that make a triangle? Okay, give me a thumbs up if you say yes. Give me a thumbs down if you say no. Yeah, the answer is yes, because 6 plus 14 is greater than 18. So it makes a triangle. So if you put 18 here and you had a 6 and a 14, they would definitely connect because they're 20 together. Good. Okay? Okay, try this one. What's the possible lengths of a third side if one side's 7 and the other side is 24? Give you a couple minutes. You should have put, it has to be greater than 17, but less than 31. 24 minus 7 is 17. 24 plus 7 is 31. That gives you the lengths that it can't be. Anything between there will make a triangle. Oh, these questions were asked on the test. Easy questions. Okay, let's go to the next one. We have a triangle. I know you don't have a picture of a triangle on your notes, but I have a triangle. I'm just going to label, I've just made a generic triangle. I really don't need these, but I just thought it might be helpful. Angle J is 2x plus 6. Angle K is 10x minus 11. That's not drawn to scale at all. Angle L is 3x minus 10. We want to list the angles from the largest to the smallest. Well, how am I going to do that? I don't know the sides. I don't know anything. But what do we know all three angles add up to be? Yep, 180. So we're going to solve for x. And remember, once we solve for x, we can plug those values in and kind of classify the triangle and then know which angles are the largest to smallest. And once we know the angles, we can get the sides. So right now I have 15x minus 15 equals 180. or 15x equals 195. I'm going to divide by 15. I get x equals 13. Doesn't tell me the angles yet, so I'm going to plug 13 into each angle. So 2 times 13 plus 6, 26 plus 6, which I think is 32. So that was in for this one. So this one's 32 degrees. Pretty small. Probably don't have a lot of angles smaller than that. I'm going to plug it into K, which might be the largest one because it's multiplying by 10. Actually, let's do L first. 3 times 13 minus 10. 39 minus 10, 29. Ooh, we got a smaller angle. That one definitely has to be the biggest. I can add those two and subtract from 180 right now. Or, might as well just plug it in. 10 times 13 minus 11. 130 minus 11 should be 119. It is definitely the largest angle. We're supposed to list the sides from the largest to smallest. So the side across from the largest angle, which happened to be K, has to be the longest side. So JL is the longest. The next one would be across from the 32. KL would be the medium one. And then the shortest has to be across from the 29. So JK would be the shortest. We're going to use this when we start doing trig. It helps you double check your answers. You should have a pretty good idea that the angle across, or the largest angle has to be across from the largest side. Okay, I'm going to probably explain these a couple times because everyone gets confused. So let's try the first time. Okay, I want to find the longest side. There are two triangles together. They share a side in the middle. By reflexive property, though, that side has to be the same. Okay? I need to figure out in the triangle which side is the longest in both triangles together. Now realize that this angle shines or is across from that side's across from that angle, and it's also across from this side. So the only way this middle part can be the longest is if it's the longest in both triangles. This is very confusing. Before I can figure anything out, I got to add these up and subtract 180. So that's 148 minus 180. This is 32 degrees. This is 100, so this is 80 degrees. Okay, you can do this how you want. I'm going to start with the right triangle. And I'm going to do shortest to longest. And I know that the shortest side can't be the longest in the whole thing. So I'm going to kind of list it. So if I'm looking at this, just this right triangle, across from the 40 is that side. So the shortest in this triangle, because 40 is the smallest angle, is DC. Can't be my answer. Across from the 60 is BC. It also can't be the answer. And across from the 80 is BD. Well, that could be my answer. But be careful. These angles don't affect the triangle on the left, other than the shared side. So let's go to the left-hand side. So let's go from shortest to longest. Well, in the left-hand side, side across from 32, which is AB, has to be the shortest. The side across from 70, which would be BD, has to be the next one. And the longest side in this triangle on the left, because 78 is the largest angle there, has to be AD. And you're saying, well, then BD is the answer. No. BD and 70, those two share that side. But look at, this is the longest, this is the longest. I have a side bigger than BD. So it goes here, but these are shared and it's not the longest on each side. Your answer has to be AD. It has to be the longest side. Not because 80 is the largest angle or 78 is the largest angle. The 70, 80 only shine on that middle side. For the middle shared one to be the largest one, it has to have no other angle in the triangle be bigger than that. And we had an angle bigger than this one. It's so hard to explain. We're going to do it one more time. We're going to do shortest or smallest side here. Okay? So now I'm looking for the smallest. You can start with any triangle. You don't have to start with the right or the left. You can start with any one you want. It really doesn't matter. I usually just start on the right. Before I can start, I have to find the missing angles. That's 150, so this is 30. That's 142. Wait, no, 152, so this is 28. Okay. I'm going to start with the smallest. I'm going to start with the right triangle. The smallest side in the right triangle. Let's see, do we want to start with smallest or largest? Well, let's start with largest because we know that's not the answer. So the side across from 125 has to be the longest side on the right triangle. So BC is the longest side. That can't be my answer. Then I look at 30. Across from 30 is DC. But I have a shorter side. The 25 is the smallest angle, and across from that is BD. That could be my answer. None of the others can because I have something shorter than that. But is it the shortest in both? Well, let's go to the left-hand triangle, and I'm just going to write it next to it so you guys can see. So let's go to the left-hand triangle. On the left-hand triangle, the longest side is AD. Can't be the answer. The next side that goes across shines on the BD. Okay, well that was the smallest side in this triangle, but it's the medium in this, and the smallest one, this, is AB. Because AB is smaller than BD, and BD was the smallest here, but BD was medium here, AB has to be your answer. I will give you a hint, it's never going to be the shared side. I haven't seen a problem where it's ever the shared side. It's usually looking for the angle that is smaller or bigger, depending on what you're looking for on the shared side. There's not a lot of questions on the test like this, but there is definitely at least one. It is a hard concept for people. Once you get it, it's easy though. Okay, once you're done with that, if you want to write anything at the bottom, you can. Let's go to the next part. Okay. Inequalities in two triangles. This is called the hinge theorem. Okay, so let's say you are going into your house and you are opening your door. Your door is set in here. Okay. Your door frame doesn't change. The size of your door doesn't change. This door is always the same. It's not changing. But you're opening at different parts. So if I barely open the door, I'm making a very small angle up there. But if I open the door bigger, I'm making a bigger angle. This side is always going to be congruent to that side. This side is always going to be congruent to that side. We are changing the third side, and we're changing the angle across from the third side. This is called side angle side inequality theorem. And all it's saying is if you take the angle in between, and let's just put a number there for just now. Say we open it at 100 degrees. And let's say we take this angle in here, and this is only 50 degrees. Then the side across from the angle that's bigger has to be larger. So BC has to be larger than XY. Because when you're opening the door at a bigger angle, the opening is going to be bigger. So we're going to be writing a lot of inequality statements. Pretty easy, but it has to be the angle between the two sides where you're opening it up, you're opening your door up and down, out, so you can be able to see it. So I have an inequality. I know it's not in your notes, but I have an inequality statement. We're going to compare LN to OQ. Well, let's first say we have this side's equal to this side's equal to this side. We have side, angle side. Angle is not congruent, so the triangles are different. Which angle is bigger? Well, this one. So the side across from that has to be bigger than the side across from that. So LN has to be greater than OQ or QO. They're not congruent triangles because they don't have the same angle, but the angle across has to be bigger, so that angle, that side has to be bigger than that. And all you're doing on the worksheet is filling in greater than and less than symbols. Okay, let's try the next one. People get confused on this. So we have a side. They share that middle side. These two triangles aren't congruent. If this is 82, then the angle right next to it for a linear pair has to be 98. So 98 is bigger than 82. So the side across from 98, which is KL, has to be greater than the side across from LM. So LM is less than KL. Pretty easy. If you open the door bigger, you're going to have a bigger opening. Okay, what is wrong with number 2? Well, we have a side, a side, a side, a side. We have the angle in between, so this is side angle side, but this angle is not between. I need to know that angle to figure out how is the door opening to figure out side, so there is not enough information. If we had this angle too and we could subtract them from 180, we could get it, but it has to be side angle side, and this one is the angle's not between. Okay, when you're done with that, we are done, but I am going to show you one extra thing. It's not in your notes. I didn't put in your notes, but I just want to show you one thing. This converse, so you can just listen. The converse is also true. So if you know this side is maybe 15 and this side is 10, okay, and you have side angle side, or you have 3 sides, then this angle across has to be bigger than that angle there because you have a bigger opening. So let's just use this really quick. So again, if you want to add this to your notes, you have a back page on the notes you can add. You can add it to the bottom. It's up to you. There is a multiple choice question on your homework that's going to ask you this. Okay? Or you can kind of see. We have a side equal to side. That x goes into here. So this is x degrees. We share a side. So we have side angle side. This side, 50, is bigger than the side of 48. So what are my possible angles I can get? Well, can this angle be 28 degrees? No, it's not congruent. The triangles aren't the same. I know that the angle must be smaller than 28 degrees. It can't be negative, so it can be anywhere from 0 to 28. So on your homework, if I asked you multiple choice, angle x, could it be 28 degrees? Could it be 30 degrees? Oops, sorry. Could it be 25 degrees? Your answer would be, it could be 25 degrees. I can't prove it, but I know it could be. It can't be 30 because 48 is smaller than 50. Can't be equal because they're not equal, but it could be 25. So that's going to have to come up on your homework. Okay, so you guys are doing worksheet 310. It's very easy. Be careful on one thing. Be careful when you have to write the inequality statements. Make sure the units are the same. Little hint. Okay, see you guys tomorrow. Bye.